All right, welcome back, folks. So we are picking up at Manifest Destiny, is where we left off last time. So, what is Manifest Destiny? It's the idea that it's the United States' destiny, it's its responsibility, it's its duty to expand from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast and to settle everything in between and enlighten it. It is our destiny. It is manifest in everything that we are as Americans to bring light to the West and continue to expand that direction. So I love this painting. This painting is a great example of what Manifest Destiny is. You can see who's the figure floating above her. It's an angel. An angel is that symbol of light, of hopefulness. And this angel is going from the right side of the picture to the left side of the picture. Imagine you're looking at a map. The right side's the east coast. So you're expanding from the east to the west. Look at the right side of the picture. It's light. It's sunny. You are exposing what is going on. You have electrical wires. You have train tracks being laid down. And on the left side of that painting, or the west, it's dark. You haven't explored it yet. It's unknown, and we need to bring light to that region. That's kind of what a lot of people thought about Manifest Destiny. So what were social, political, and economic reasons why Americans believed in Manifest Destiny? That's kind of the question I want you to think about. Well, first of all, socially, what social issues wanted Americans to expand? First of all, we believed we were exceptional. A lot of Americans still today believe we are an exceptional nation, and we should therefore expand and spread our exceptionalism all across the continent. Another one is a desire to expand American democratic ideals, the idea that we should elect our government and that we should participate in our government. That needs to be expanded. Another social belief was kind of this religious belief that it's God's will that we expand there. The Native Americans weren't practicing Christianity and our modern religions. So they wanted to expand God's intent into the West and spread God's will into the West. And then lastly, just the view of racial superiority was another issue. White Americans largely looked at Native Americans as inferior, as barbarous, as living in a backwards era that is, from a long time ago. Even though these were sophisticated tribes and groups with, thousands of years of history behind them, the white settlers moving out west viewed them as, what are you doing? Why aren't you living like us? Why aren't you settling down? Why aren't you doing the things we do? Even though what they were doing had thrived for literally 1,000 years. Politically, why do we want to move west? First of all, that Monroe Doctrine. If we're supposed to protect the Americas, we need to control our own territory here. We need to continue expanding west and kicking out the British and the Spanish and the French and even the Mexicans in the Mexican-American War to make it an American territory. We also wanted to acquire Oregon from Britain. We wanted to acquire Texas from Mexico. And as far as politics are concerned, Democrats supported expansion, and they were winning more elections over the Whigs in this time period. So this new wave of political theater of we need to expand west was another big viewpoint. And lastly, and this is really what drives it, probably more than anything else, is economics. You're talking about millions upon millions of acres of land that is farmable. You have cattle ranchers that want to move out west and use that for raising their animals. They have access to rich resources. Gold is discovered in 1849. That helps expand the population of the West immensely and further intensifies Manifest Destiny. Coal and all sorts of silver, all of these different discoveries out west just make people want to move there. And also, when you get into southern states like Texas, especially, it's great cropland for cotton, which is, the major cash crop of the South during the time period. So, of course, they want to continue to expand. Last slide here, and we're done with our topic 0 notes. American development. As many Americans expanded westward, origins of the Civil War. What are things dividing the North and the South in the Civil War? obviously, you have a lot of different issues between the North and the South, but the biggest are economic and cultural. The North, you have dense cities with large populations and industry and factories, where a lot of people in the North had there were still a lot of racist whites in the North that believed whites were superior, but they also believed slavery was barbarous, it was bad, it was negative for America. People like Harriet Tubman are helping slaves escape from the South into the North. Um, with the Underground Railroad. The South, on the meantime, is very rural. There's no major city with hundreds of thousands of people living in it like there is in the North. Cotton is king. Cash crops are king in the South. So they're not even necessarily growing very much food. They're growing cash crops like indigo and cotton and tobacco in the South that are also labor intensive. So the South is economically reliant on slaves to make sure that they can expand. Now, slavery was starting to decline slightly, and then the invention of the cotton gin comes available, where you put raw cotton and you turn the handle, and it takes the seeds out of the cotton, and it can massively increase your production of cotton and makes it much more of a sustainable product that you can have essentially unlimited amount of cotton grown. The negative is now you need unlimited amount of slaves to pick the cotton and put it in the cotton gin. So the cotton gin actually is a boom for slavery. And our next chapter is where we'll get into the rise of the Civil War and the actual Civil War itself, and then Reconstruction.